we've got several moving along with us live today from home, which is always so great. And then this video will also show up in our content library. So we are going to start today's class back on our backs. So take just a few moments here to start to move onto your back. If you're already there, turning a little bit of focus to your breath. Allowing your inhales to deepen along with your exhales. It might feel nice to layer your hands and let them rest on your heart or across your belly. And just slowly start to let things kind of find their way back into the earth. Just kind of settling into a place of relaxation to start with today. Today's live class is taking place on January 5th, and our reading is pretty appropriate because this time of year we're often surrounded by all sorts of marketing media about new you, better you, New Year's resolutions, weight loss, all these wonderful things that kind of make us feel yucky and motivated maybe at the same time. So today's reading is entitled, My Healing is Already in Process. My willingness to forgive begins my healing process. I allow the love from my own heart to wash through me, cleansing and healing every part of my body. I know I am worth healing. Now, healing doesn't always have to mean that we are trying to overcome something huge, something big. I know that my personal healing just has to happen every day, over and over, for all sorts of tiny little things that I have to learn to release, forgive, let go. So as you start this new year, start this process of healing. You know that it's already in process. It's happening every day as we take a nice, full, easy breath. Allowing the love from our heart to wash through and cleanse and heal every part of our body. So perhaps see that today as the breath comes in through your nose, see it as a light, a warmth, a love that we can wash over us. Let us allow to heal from the inside out. If your legs have been long on your mat, let's go ahead and see if we can take a little bend in those knees. Start to walk the feet up the mat. Maybe lifting right and left, kind of lifting that hip up off the earth, the lowest part of the back. So I'm just doing a little shift with my knees and letting myself have just a little lift on each side. Pausing at the center, bring your right knee in towards your chest. Point and flex your toes, roll around your ankle. Let your left leg go long down the mat. Perhaps maybe that space feels like a nice deep full stretch for you today. Switching the grip perhaps to the back of the thigh will elevate that right foot up. Roll around the ankle. Right knee comes hugged close into the belly. And then we'll switch sides. Left knee comes in, right leg goes long, point, flex, roll around that ankle. Maybe switching the grip to the back of the thigh, elevating it, point, flex, roll around that ankle. Knee coming back into the belly. From here, we're going to bring both knees into the chest. Maybe reach for the fronts of the shins or the backs of the thighs and roll around. Always a reminder to you that these practices that we do here on the mat should feel personal. So if at any point in time something I'm directing you to do just isn't really sitting right, or maybe it feels really great and you want to stay there, please know that's always an option. Now let's see if we can lift our feet up, put them up towards the ceiling, maybe even reach the hands up overhead, make yourself like a letter L, point and flex the toes here again. And then you're just gonna march, taking your time to push the heel up towards the sky, gluing those lower abdominals down onto the earth, letting us have some easy movement here. And yours can be slow, or you can do a march, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. Let those kind of switch. I'm bending my knees, letting the hamstrings have some work. Perfect. Go ahead, bring those hands down, put them near your hips. Let them drop onto the earth. Drop your right toe, touch, lift. Drop your left toe, touch, lift. Staying in this shape, gluing those lower abdominals to the ground. Tap, lift, tap, lift. One more time. All right, when you feel ready, go ahead and drop both feet down to the ground, one at a time. Walk your heels as close to the glutes as they feel comfortable. Knees are bent, kept about hip distance apart, hands on either sides. And we'll lift ourselves into our first bridge pose, trying our best to keep our vision, our point of gaze up towards the ceiling, eyes looking up. Soften that gaze, continue to breathe. Let that breath feel like a healing, loving breath moving throughout the whole body. Inhale, breath heals, lift up off the ground, and then we'll lower back down one vertebra at a time. Once you hit this spot, go ahead and roll to your right hand side using your arm like a pillow. Take your left hand over, push into the earth, and bring yourself up towards a seated posture. Now, if you have a set of blocks, you're welcome to bring those blocks to the outer edges of your seat here. Maybe setting one on each side of you. It might feel nice to do just a little side body leaning here, tapping to the right and the left, just kind of swaying back and forth. Your next natural inhale, these hands will come up overhead. Exhale, let them slide down and find your heart. Two more times just like that. A nice healing lift and extend. And then an exhale, drop. One more time, healing lift and extend. And then a closed, slow drop. Hands lace, press them forward. Lean a little right and then lean a little left. Right, one more time. And left, beautiful work. Let those hands slide out and away from each other, landing on either set of blocks or on the floor on either side. Let your right ear fall slowly towards your right shoulder. Obviously, right hand can come up and add just a little gentle pressure here. Some of you are familiar with that shape and really enjoy that. Others don't need it. Your choice. Inhale, head comes back up over spine. Maybe we go the other way. Inhale, head back up over spine. Beautiful work. Take those shoulders, lift them up towards your ears, and then just slide them down your back, down your spine. All right, friends, let's move to a tabletop position. I'm going to turn sideways here just so you can see my angles a little better. Maybe your wrists are right underneath your shoulders or slightly out in front. Knees are underneath those hips. If that feels good to you, take a little sway side to side. And then take a little sway forward and back. Just putting some Pressure into those hands. Warming up the wrists. All right, bring it to that tabletop pose, and I want you to start to initiate just some simple cat-cow breaths. So the belly drops down on your inhale, and then rounds on your exhale. Drops on your inhale, rounds on your exhale. One more time, drops on your inhale, rounds on your exhale. Back to traditional table, right hand extends out, right leg, or left hand extends out, right leg, or vice versa, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna do both sides. Hold for a round of breath. Hand drops down, knee comes to earth, switch sides. Opposite hand lifts and reaches. Perfect. Bring that hand back down and place it on the earth. Knee comes to earth. Curl toes under. First down dog of today's practice. Hips are lifted nice and high. Take your time to walk this out. Continue to breathe. You've got that nice upside down V happening with the spine. Right knee drops down to your mat. Turn your left foot to its inside. Right hand reaches out right underneath the forehead. Maybe your right toes curl out and you open to a side plank modification today. Maybe this arm even comes up overhead and reaches nice and long to create a nice long body. It might feel okay to lift this back foot, flexing through those toes and holding in the earth. That's a big, strong shape. So if that doesn't work for you today, just drop that foot back down to earth. Take this hand that's in the sky, let it slowly circle back down, look for the ground, pivot and turn. Curl toes under, both feet are the same, and we're back up in that down dog. Take your time. Left knee drops to ground. Left hand under face, right foot turns on its inside edge. You might kind of peel this left foot out behind you a little bit as that right hand reaches up. And then send the bicep by ear, holding here, watching that shoulder on the right side. Maybe you even flex this foot. Get a little bit more space. Staying in that shape, one more round of breath. Foot drops down, arms circles to earth, toes curl under on both sides, hips are back up, downward facing dog. Take your time, let's walk this out. Perfect. Dropping that right knee back down into the ground. We're going to lift the left toes up off the earth and then place them back down. Lift them up off the earth, place them back down. One more time, up off the earth, place them back down. Turn that left foot onto its inner edge again. Toes on that right side slide behind. Right hand underneath the face, back up to that same side plank. Hold. If you want more challenge today, perhaps you step this other foot back along with, and you take yourself into a full version of side plank, staying in that shape for 2 more breaths. Unwinding from whatever version of side you were in today, feet come back to find downward facing dog, walk it out. Left knee drops to ground, right foot lifts, and then taps back down. We're using the strength in that back leg, engaging the hamstrings, the glutes, the quads. Last time. Next time those toes are on the earth, go ahead and spiral that right foot. Put it on its inside edge. Maybe your left toes come behind. Take yourself back up for that same modified side plank. Perhaps stepping the foot back, stacking or staggering. Holding that shape, using those core muscles, gazing upward or out to the side. One more breath. Hands coming back to look for earth, hips lift up, downward facing dog. Small steps with your feet. Take your time to walk them up towards your hands. Find a forward fold. Your first forward fold of today's practice might be better assisted with a set of blocks, maybe a soft bend in your knees. Inhale to come up halfway, create a long spine. Exhale, fold towards your toes. Inhale, reach hands as high as they can go up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. From this position, step your right foot straight back. Spin that right heel till it finds the earth and you're looking for warrior one. Maybe your hips are shining straight up the mat. Perhaps this front knee has a decent bend. Bring those hands up. Settle the shoulders, very good. Then we're just gonna bring our fingertips down and let them look for the tops of the shoulders. Taking your left knee that's forward, you're gonna start to turn your right elbow in the direction of that left knee. Pause when you hit the twist and then come back to center. Try it again. Pause when you hit the twist and then back to center. Last one. And then just roll out those shoulders. Maybe forward, maybe backward. A big sweep of the arms up to the sky. Turn on these back toes, rise up to a full crescent. And then your hands are gonna start to cartwheel or fold down towards the earth, maybe a set of blocks. You can turn yourself into a nice runner's lunge here with the knee lifted off the ground, or that knee can look for earth. Pausing here, 3 breaths. Healing breaths. Let that inhale send strength along with ease throughout the body. Beautiful. If that feels nice to you, you can either use the blocks or get rid of them. You're going to step your front foot all the way to the back of the mat. Put yourself into a downward facing dog shape, or perhaps drop to your knees for child's pose if that feels more appropriate. Walk it out. If you are in down dog, you might try something different, separating the feet as wide as the mat and letting your hips take a gentle sway from right to left. Small steps with feet. We'll take our time. Walk towards your hands, forward fold. Head is hanging heavy down towards the earth. Slowing the pace of today's practice. Use your inhale, come up halfway, pause. Exhale, fold. Plant those feet strong, reach the hands up. Taking your time, our hands will come to the heart and rest there. Standing Tadasana, lifting tall. Beautiful. Left foot starts to step backwards. Spin that left heel so it hits the ground. Bend the knee. Take your time. Warrior one. With warrior one, ideally our hips are square towards the front of the mat. We've got a decent bend in that front knee. We're watching the sway of the low back, seeing what feels good through our core, through our back, through this back hip flexor. Perfect. Hands come down to look for the shoulders, just as we did before. This time you're going to twist towards that front knee, the right knee, and then unwind. twist, and then unwind. Twist. This time as you unwind from this twist, allow your face to soften, bring a smile, and then roll those shoulders. Don't get too serious in this practice. The one thing in person, we can't crack our jokes, we can't laugh at each other's, grunts and groans as things feel good or don't feel good. Reach the hands up nice and tall. Here we go. Cartwheel down to the ground. Spinning on that back toe. I forgot to tell you to do that. We're in a runner's lunge. So my toe is connected, my heel is lifted. Stay here. Or some of you last time dropped this down to the earth for a little more hip flexor stretch. Depending on what feels tight in your own body, this might be a safer space or something that just feels like it makes more sense to you. All right, friends, let's go ahead and move ourselves from this low lunge or runner's lunge all the way back to that down dog shape again. This time, if you want to try a modification, or not modification, a variation, maybe you take your right foot and just step it slightly behind your left heel, press towards that left heel and allow that IT band stretch to move up the outer edge of that left leg. Switch this time. Left leg steps behind the right heel. And maybe you move that right heel towards the earth. Trying our best not to sacrifice the upper part of our back in doing so. Beautiful. Uncross those feet, drop down. Put your big toes together, but separate your knees into a wide-kneed child's pose. Hips sit back towards your heels. Hands either drape over a set of blocks or rest comfortably out in front. Let the chest and belly drop through the middle of this pose. Feel heavy. And just breathe. Give that upper back a little bit of space. One more nice, easy breath. All right, my friends, slowly start to bring your chest up away from the earth. And bring those knees back towards the center of your mat. Option to sit here on your heels, or if that's a little much, maybe you come up to a higher knee. You're going to stretch your hands straight out in front, palms facing inward towards one another. As you exhale, just pull these elbows back. Let your shoulder blades, that's the word I was looking for, upper back muscles take a little pinch as we pull those hands back. So again, you can be higher or lower. And this could be really sloppy and just, feel good. Or this could have some tension in it, right? And you can be thinking about triceps and biceps and arm strength, upper back and shoulder strength. One more time. Beautiful. Reach those hands straight out. Put your palms so that they face down towards the ground and just give it a little pulse. Perfect. Hands are going to come towards earth. Find your down dog again. Maybe hands go to blocks or just to the ground. Toes curl under, hips lift up, downward facing dog. All right, friends, small steps with your feet. Just take your time to walk up towards your hands. Maybe your hands come back towards you as well. Hang in that forward fold. Let everything be soft. Half lift when the spine feels ready. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the hands as high as they can go, and then just gently bring the hands down towards your heart. We're gonna step back with whatever foot makes most sense to just get wide on your mat. So depending on what angle your screen is for you at home, and even if you step off of your mat, that's okay too, if it makes more sense. Go ahead and just put yourself in a big, wide stance. I'm gonna turn my right toes towards the edge of the mat and bend that right knee. I'm in warrior one, or warrior two rather. My hips are square to the side of my mat. Toe is forward, gazing over that hand. Hold that warrior two. Draw in the belly button towards the spine, lift up through the crown of your head and hold. Inhale, breath, straighten the front knee, hands lift high. Exhale, breath back into that seated warrior. All right, so just a couple times through that pace. Maybe the arms are loose, or perhaps you've got a little bit of tension in the arms. Last one. Sink back into warrior two, flip the right hand and then lean away from that knee. Hold this reverse warrior, 3 more breaths. Back to warrior two. Elbow drops towards your knee. Top arm comes up and over. If you can tell, the palm of my hand is pointed down towards the earth as those fingers are reaching long line from the tip of my toes to the tips of my fingers. Stay in that space. Continue to breathe. Beautiful, coming out of that warrior two. Turning both feet to face the same direction on your mat. Take a nice wide fold as a counter pose. So you're just gonna fold right down here through the middle. Maybe your hands reach for one of those blocks you might have handy, or they just kind of hang out here in the middle of your mat. Your head is loose, drape down towards the floor. Give it a round of breath. All right, when you feel ready, we're gonna start to wake back up. Bring yourself up to a half lift, long spine. Pause here. Use your exhale to just hold that shape. And then inhale the rest of the way up. Turning your left toes this time towards the left edge of your mat. Bending that front knee. Starting to look for the shape warrior two. So the first natural tendency is that these arms want to kind of float up, and we'll feel our shoulders hugging towards our ears. See if you can relax those shoulders down. Put some kind of vibrations or tensions out through your fingertips. Gaze forward, pick something out, let yourself get serious. As you gaze over those front fingertips, feeling the mighty strength of a warrior to hold this pose. Maybe even sigh a nice full exhale, pull the belly button in towards your spine. Flip that front hand, lean away from the knee. Back to reverse. We're here for 3 more breaths. Now I have to admit, we used to have an instructor here, Rebecca, who taught Hatha very similar to what I'm doing this evening. Poses are strong, they're mighty, and we hold them. 1 more breath. Now the part about having to admit, let's take it to side angle, elbow to knee, top hand reaches over, is that I did not care for it. This is a lot of work. You're probably feeling that today. Maybe your muscles are a little tired, and holding these strong shapes for several breaths makes you want to get out, to hit stop. Please don't. Stay with me. Give me another breath. Perfect. Start to bring it back up, warrior two. Turn your toes. Here's your wake for your rest, your break. Fold through the middle. Here you go. Take the wide shape that feels nice to you. Now, if you're like me, I prefer a more flowy style. So when I have a chance, I end up kind of wiggling. So if you want to sway here a little right and left, you want to bend the knees, go ahead. Let this practice feel like yours. That you have a chance to figure out where your body wants it and where it doesn't. What feels nice and what doesn't. All right, while you're in this forward fold, let's throw a twist in here. Maybe your right hand takes place on the block or on the floor. Maybe your fingertips are touching, or maybe you come up nice and high. If you're a beginner, I would suggest to have a high block, right hand on the block, left hand either shoots straight out to the side or maybe goes a little higher. This should never hurt through the shoulder, and we don't ever want to go past this hand on the ground. So if you are like, look at me, I could fly this hand way over, you don't need to do that. Come back a little bit here. Focus on more of a twist through the core, lifting up through those fingertips. And then exhale, that door closed. Let's switch sides. Left hand on the block or on the floor. Right hand maybe just comes out towards the side, or maybe goes a little bit more, a little bit more. Just take your time, friends. Perfect. Taking care of the body, slowly bring this hand back down towards the block. Inhale, come up halfway, long spine. Pause here, hold the shape as you breathe. Use your next natural inhale to come up the rest of the way. Hands lift tall, and then turn your heels either together or one at a time, and then slide into a bent knee, wide leg squat. My hands are resting at the heart. If that feels nice to you, join me. Sink a little deeper. Find that strength in your legs. One more breath. Beautiful. Stand those feet up nice and tall. You know what we forgot to do? Maybe you didn't, but I did. We forgot to dance a little bit in our warrior. So while we're here, turn your right foot to the side, your left foot out. Reach these arms out to the side. No wonder that felt shorter. Inhale, breath, straighten that knee, arm goes up. Exhale that back out. Now, if you remembered, even though I didn't, and you've already done this, you can do it again, or you can take a quick little water break or do a different pose, but we need to do one more. Hold that warrior two. Beautiful. Let that leg get relaxed. Turn your toes to the front. And then we're just going to heel toe your feet back underneath of you. Sorry for getting a little out of sequence there. All right, let's put our right foot into the ground. This is why some yoga teachers have notes. Right foot into the ground, the left toes into the earth. Just build me a classic tree with your legs, please. Your knee is outward turned. Hands are maybe out to the sides. And then maybe this foot starts moving up. The ankle, the calf, the inner thigh. Maybe your hands go out or even up. Let the shoulders relax. Find a place of focus out in your space. So no longer focusing on the screen. Look out in your space. Something on the wall, on the floor, several feet out in front. Hold that shape. Beautiful. Hands start to work their way back down, toe to the earth. And then I want you to take this knee that's been bent, turn it forward, and then step it over and in front of the leg you've been standing on. Now this leg that just went across, that arm is going to reach up and over the body. Hold. Now this leg that's been on top, we're going to kind of spiral the arms down, step this foot out a little bit wider, and then I want you to put weight into that leg and lift the opposite foot up. So for me, I'm standing on my left foot, right toes are lifted, arms are in an X, hold, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful, bring those feet down. Give your hips a little sway, maybe your knees a little movement, ankles. And we're gonna start to draw that same tree shape on the other leg. Left foot becomes your foundation, building from the floor up. Right toes turn, tap, hips squares out. Maybe we rise up to the inner calf or inner thigh. Letting those arms maybe go with, just as you did before. Beautiful. For those of you reaching up or out, take the shape that works for you. Have an itch. Take a moment to find a look out in your space. Not focusing on the screen. Give it another round of breath. Heart lifted, spine tall. Easing those arms back down. Toe comes to earth, turn knee forward, step it across. Same leg that went across, that arm reaches up and over. Big side body shape. All right, this leg that has just stepped across, it's going to come over, step wide, weight moves to it, we lift, and we're in the letter X on the other side. Shoulders drop down into the sockets where they belong, keeping steady with that breath. Hold, 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 and settle. Knees, hips, big sways. All right, let's turn this into ragdoll. Get those feet about hip distance apart. Go ahead and fold down through the middle. Right hand to left elbow, left hand to right elbow. You've got a big ragdoll shape. You might even turn, kind of walk around a little bit on your mat. Release any tension hiding in your low back. Allow that big healing breath to come in through the nose. Back out. And then our hands will look for earth. Small or big steps to move the feet back to a plank pose. Option to bring knees to the earth or hold that full planked position. We're going to stay here for about 3 more breaths. So you decide what your core needs today. Do you want to stay tall or do you want to drop the knees to the earth? You choose. 1 more breath. Beautiful. Drop those knees down if you haven't already. Toes relaxed. Bend the elbows so that they kiss right alongside body. Lower to the belly. And then walk these arms out in front. We're going to look for a Sphinx shape today. So hopefully you can see I've got a gentle bend right at the elbow, putting those hands down on the earth. Now, if you, looking like me, 90-degree angles at the elbows, arms stretched, is too much. Maybe this is really bothering your low back. First thing to check is your pelvis pressed into the earth? Are your toes pointed? Are your quads engaged? If you said yes, 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 and your back still hurts, walk your elbows further out in front. Relax the shoulders down, glue the pelvis to the earth, engage those quads, feel the stretch. If this is still too much, soften and just let your hands stretch way out in front. One more breath, whatever shape you ended up landing in. Beautiful. Let's let these elbows start to turn out to the sides. I'm going to make a little pillow with my hands right at the top of my mat. My right facial cheek is going to lay on my hands as I bend my left foot, reaching the left hand back. Maybe I make connection with the top of that foot to hug the heel down into my glute. If that does not work for you, it's okay. You can just bend that knee, reach this hand back, and then just let it crash kind of on the side. You can flex and point and flex and point instead of holding on to that foot. But if you can make that grab and that feels good to you today, stay there. 2 more breaths. All right, friends, take your time, switch your hands, switch the angle of your face, switch your foot, reach back, make connection. Try to keep this knee in nice and close to the other. Remembering if you can't quite make that grab, just relax that foot, point and flex. One more breath. Soften your grip if you've been holding that foot. Bring both hands around the top of the mat. Reverse Savasana, bent knees, flex feet, sweep side to side. Feet come down, touch the mat, push the tops of the feet into the earth as you rest here on your belly. Softening those knees back down to earth, curling the toes under, flexed feet this time. Hands walking to either sides of the heart, head leaving the earth. Start to push up to find your knees. Plank on your knees, please. Pull the belly button into the spine while you do that, and then sit back, child's pose. Drop the elbows into the earth if that feels good. Maybe hands even touch and tuck behind the back of the head. hands come down to earth. Bring yourself back up to table. Take a couple cat-cows just to breathe here. Now earlier, as I was stating, that when we were in that warrior shape and we were talking about the difficulties, the discomfort of holding those big shapes, I hope that if anything through 2020, we learned that we can live in discomfort, that though we don't like it, it's a good place for development, for learning, for compassion, for empathy. It all comes when we get a little bit uncomfortable. And today's poses probably got you a little bit uncomfortable. And maybe even to a place where you didn't like something. But it's always important to bring back to the shape your breath and remind yourself why you're there in the first place. Why do we take those warriors? Why do we hold them? Why is it important to bring our mind to the mat? One more round of cat-cow. These are beautiful. Good work with the spine. And then just a nice, easy table. Right hand moves directly underneath your face. Lift and reach with the left hand up towards the ceiling. And then eye of the needle, send this left hand underneath the body, through that opening. Maybe bring your left elbow or shoulder down to the ground. Maybe your right hand reaches out. You might choose to sit back a little bit towards your hips on heels, taking that child's pose with a little shoulder stretch. One more breath. Perfect. Let's bring this back through and up. Back to your table. Switch sides. Left hand under face. Right hand lifts up. Right hand threads the needle. Send it through. Take your time. Shoulder down towards earth. Opposite hand maybe reaching out. Easy breath work here. One more steady breath. Excellent. Let's see what we can do. Start to unwind from that shape. Let the hand rise back up. And then back down to your table. Slide the hips right and left. And then start to transition yourself to your seat. I like to bring knees towards wrists and then just kind of crisscross and sit over. Others like to send the feet around the side, whatever works. Move right into bound ankle, soles of feet finding one another, maybe knees falling out and open. I'm doing it a little bit with some movement. That feels nice in my hips. If you'd like to just find something static and stay there for a few moments, that works too. All right, friends, next time your inhale comes, just welcome those knees back up to the sky. Start to transition towards your back. Do a quick little peek, look around you, make sure there's not a piece of furniture behind you that you might hit your head on or stub your toe on as you stretch your legs long. Let your back kind of settle in. And then you've got about, I don't know, depends on how long of a savasana you want, but you got maybe 2 minutes or so, maybe less, to explore any kind of final postures that make sense. If your hips are still angry, maybe you take a pigeon on your back here, bringing one foot over and placing it on the knee, kind of making a figure 4 shape. That might feel really nice. If you liked that bound angle, what we were just doing seated, maybe you take that here on your back. You bring your feet together, let your knees bend out. If you like an inversion, you can move yourself from your mat, take yourself maybe over to a wall, Put your legs up the couch, up a chair, or just kind of lift them up into space, maybe using one of the blocks that you brought with you to today's practice. You decide how you're going to start to close out today. I had a little figure 4, and now I'm doing knees to chest. And then I'm going to start to move into Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined bound angle. Soles of feet together, knees out. I'm going to take right hand to my heart, left hand to my belly. Make the choices that make sense to you. Staying in these shapes for a couple more breaths. If you haven't yet found whatever shape you're going to embrace for Savasana, take your time to start to move into that shape. Traditional Savasana looks like legs long and extended down your mat. Maybe your heels touch the earth, but you let your toes kind of roll to point towards the outer edges. Your hands come down, let them release, palms facing up. Shoulder blades walked out from underneath of you, back of head grounded. Swaying the tip of the nose, right and left. And then allow that same breath to keep moving in and out of your body. Allow your heart to feel heavy as it begins to sink the middle of your upper back down into the mat. Let your hips feel heavy, your feet feel heavy, your hands, your elbows, the back of your head. All of these spots connecting with the earth as you slowly allow yourself to let go. We're going to stay in this final shape, whatever you have chosen, for several more breaths, knowing that the sound of my voice will call you back when it is time. My willingness to forgive begins my healing process. I allow the love from my own heart to wash through me, cleansing and healing every part of my body. I know I am worth healing. Let that breath take its time to heal and move through the body. From the crown of the head, through the muscles of the face and neck, shoulders, down your spine, through the hips, down each of your legs, to the tips of your toes. Slowly starting to allow your body some gentle movement. Come back to a little awareness with wiggling of fingers, wiggling of toes. Easy movement of head from side to side or bending of knees and walking the feet in a little closer. Maybe you make yourself into a ball shape and rock around on the earth. Maybe you roll to rest on either your right or your left side, pushing into the ground, finding your way back at a seat, maybe with hands to heart. I greatly appreciate you making this time for yourself, carving out just a small part of your day to move and breathe alongside us here at SIFT. May you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again. Namaste. Thank you guys so much.